Every morning, I follow the same routine. Mom makes coffee in our tiny kitchen while I pack my backpack with the essentials, my notebook filled with circuit diagrams, a small toolkit I've assembled from discarded electronics, and whatever broken radio or device I've been working on. Today, it's a vintage transistor radio that Mrs. Henderson from 4B threw away. She said it was beyond repair, but I know better. Everything can be fixed if you understand how it thinks. My name is Arya, and I am 8 years old. Most people don't see me, which is fine by me because I see everything they miss. Ready, sweetheart? Mom asks, checking her watch. She works at Nexus Dynamics, one of those glass tower companies that makes software for other companies. I don't really understand what she does there, but she brings me along during school holidays because finding a babysitter who can handle a kid like me is impossible. The elevator rises smoothly, and I count the floors in my head. 15, 16, 17, 18, Mom's floor. The doors open to reveal the usual chaos of a tech company. People rushing between meetings, the constant hum of computers, the smell of coffee and stress. The train ride downtown takes 37 minutes. I spend it sketching modifications to the radio's circuitry, adding improvements the original designers never thought of. Mom reviews her emails, occasionally glancing over to make sure I'm not taking apart something important. She learned that lesson when I improved her laptop's cooling system last month. Nexus Dynamics occupies floors 15 through 23 of the Meridian Tower. The lobby is all marble and chrome, designed to intimidate. The security guard, Jimmy, gives me a small wave as we pass through. He's one of the few adults who actually sees me, probably because I fixed his radio last week when it kept cutting out during the morning news. She kisses the top of my head and disappears into the maze of cubicles. I settle into the small space she's carved out for me next to her desk, spreading my tools across the surface. The radio sits before me like a puzzle, waiting to be solved. Don't wander off, I finish. I know, Mom. Remember the rules, Mom says as we walk toward her cubicle. Stay quiet, don't touch anything important. And I've been coming here for 3 years, ever since Dad left. In that time, I've learned to read the building's rhythms. The morning rush of caffeine and deadlines. The afternoon lull, when productivity drops and people start checking personal emails. The evening exodus, when everyone pretends they're not taking work home. But today feels different. There's an undercurrent of tension, like the moment before a thunderstorm when the air becomes heavy and electric. I notice it in the way people cluster around monitors, whispering urgently, in the speed of their typing. In the way Mr. Novak from IT keeps running his hands through his hair as he stares at his screen. I try to focus on the radio, but the building's nervous energy is distracting. Through the forest of cubicles, I can see the server room's reinforced glass door. The lights inside are blinking in patterns I've never seen before. Not the steady pulse of normal operation, but something frantic and irregular. Everything okay over there? I hear someone ask. But I know better. I've spent enough time in this building to recognize the difference between hiccups and hemorrhages. This isn't a minor glitch. It's something much worse. Just some network hiccups, comes the reply. Nothing we can't handle. I set down my screwdriver and close my eyes, listening to the building's electronic heartbeat. Every computer, every server, every network device creates its own signature sound. Most people can't hear it, but I can. It's like a symphony played on instruments made of silicon and copper. And right now, that symphony is playing a song of chaos. The first sign of real trouble comes at 10:47 a.m. I know the exact time because I'm watching the clock on Mom's computer when it suddenly freezes. The second hand stops mid-tick, and the screen flickers once before going black. What the hell? Mom mutters, pressing the power button. Nothing happens. Around us, the same scene plays out across dozens of workstations. Computers dying in sequence, like dominoes falling in slow motion. The normal office chatter gives way to confused murmurs. Then rising panic. Is the power out? Someone asks. Try the server room. I watch as employees rush toward the IT department, their faces painted with the special kind of terror that comes from watching your livelihood disappear in real time. Mom joins the crowd, leaving me alone with my broken radio in a building full of broken computers. No, the lights are still on, but I'm not really alone. I have the building's electronic nervous system, and it's screaming. The server room is usually restricted, but the door is propped open as technicians rush in and out. I peek inside and see a light show that would be beautiful if it weren't so terrifying. Status indicators blink red across hundreds of machines. Error messages cascade down monitors like digital waterfalls. I slip out of Mom's cubicle and make my way toward the server room, moving through the chaos like a ghost. Adults are too busy panicking to notice one small girl navigating the maze of desks. I've learned to use my invisibility as a superpower. How bad is it? Someone asks. Everything's locked up, comes the reply. We can't access anything. Customer data, financial records, development code. It's all encrypted. Ransomware? Has to be. But I've never seen anything like this. It's not just encrypting files, it's rewriting the entire file system structure. It's like watching someone perform surgery with a chainsaw. I press myself against the doorframe, trying to become even more invisible. Inside, a woman with short gray hair and tired eyes is barking orders at a team of younger technicians. This must be Dr. Sarah Chen, the Chief Technology Officer. I've heard Mom mention her before. Brilliant, demanding, and absolutely ruthless when it comes to protecting the company's systems. How long until we can get the backups online? Dr. Chen asks. My blood runs cold. An attack that's sophisticated doesn't happen by accident. Someone studied this company, learned its vulnerabilities, and crafted a weapon specifically designed to destroy it. This isn't random cybercrime, it's personal. I close my eyes and listen to the building's electronic voice. Beneath the chaos, there's a pattern. The attack isn't random or widespread. It's following specific pathways through the network, like water flowing downhill. If I can trace those pathways backward, I might be able to find where it started. That's the problem, one of the technicians says. The attack hit the backup servers first. Whoever did this knew our infrastructure better than we do. She kneels down to my level, her face creased with worry. Sweetheart, the grown-ups are handling this. Why don't you go back to your spot and work on your radio? Aria? Mom's voice cuts through my concentration. What are you doing here? I told you to stay put.
Mom, I think I know what's happening.
No buts. This is serious adult business. But Mom, I want to argue, but I know it's useless. Adults never listen to kids, especially when they're scared. Instead, I nod and let her lead me back to her cubicle, where I pretend to focus on the radio while my mind races through network topologies and security protocols. The attack is still spreading. I can hear it in the way the remaining computers struggle to process simple commands. Whatever malware is eating through the system, it's adaptive and intelligent. It's not just destroying data, it's learning from the system as it goes, becoming more efficient with each server it compromises. Someone like me, but intelligence can be a weakness too. If the attack is learning, that means it's leaving traces, digital footprints that might be invisible to the naked eye, but could be spotted by someone who knows how to look. By noon, Nexus Dynamics is in full crisis mode. The CEO, Jonathan Reeves, has called an emergency meeting in the main conference room, and I can see him through the glass walls, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. His usually perfect hair is disheveled, and his tie hangs loose around his neck. Mom has been pulled into the meeting along with the other department heads. She gave me strict instructions to stay in her cubicle and not move, but I can see the worry in her eyes. If Nexus Dynamics goes under, she loses her job. And if she loses her job, we lose our apartment. I try to focus on the radio, but my mind keeps drifting to the attack. It's been 3 hours since the first systems went down, and the damage is still spreading. I can hear it in the way the building's electronics wheeze and struggle. The elevators are moving slower. The air conditioning is cycling irregularly. Even the lights are dimming periodically. This isn't just a cyber attack, it's a digital cancer metastasizing through every connected system in the building. Excuse me, little girl. I look up to see a young man standing beside Mom's cubicle. He's maybe 22 or 23, with dark hair and intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. His badge identifies him as Oliver Kane, intern software development. I nod, not trusting my voice. You're Rebecca's daughter, right? He asks. I'm Oliver. I work with your mom sometimes. He glances around, then leans closer. I've been watching you for the past few hours. You've been taking notes about the attack, haven't you? My hand instinctively moves to cover my notebook, but it's too late. He's already seen the diagrams I've been sketching, network maps, data flow charts, and my attempts to trace the attack's progression through the building's systems. I study his face, looking for signs of condescension or fake interest, but his eyes are serious, and there's something in his expression that makes me think he might actually listen. It's okay, Oliver says. I'm not going to tell anyone, but I have to ask, do you understand what's happening here? I open my notebook to a page covered with interconnected circles and arrows. Every network has weak points, places where security is lighter or where old systems connect to new ones. The attack is using those weak points like stepping stones. Oliver pulls up a chair and sits down beside me. What kind of pattern? It's not random, I whisper. The attack, I mean, it's following a pattern. That's actually a really good analogy, Oliver says. Most malware spreads randomly, but this one seems to be following a specific path. Oliver stares at my diagram. You drew all this from just watching the computers go down. Because it knows the path, I continue, gaining confidence. Whoever wrote this malware studied the network first. They mapped out all the connections, identified the vulnerabilities, and then designed the attack to exploit them in sequence. The executive conference room. Oliver breathes. They added that connection last month, so visiting clients could access the projection system. Once the malware got through the bridge, it spread to the main network and started mapping out the entire system. It's not trying to steal data or hold it for ransom. It's trying to understand how everything connects. I've been watching the building systems for 3 years. I know how they're supposed to work. I point to a cluster of circles on the left side of the page. The attack started here, in the guest network. It's supposed to be isolated from the main systems, but there's a bridge, probably for conference room presentations or something. I flip to another page in my notebook, where I've sketched a rough timeline of the attack, because it's not finished. This is just the reconnaissance phase. The real attack hasn't started yet. But why? Oliver's face goes pale. We need to tell someone about this. Who's going to listen to an 8-year-old? He stands up and looks toward the conference room, where the emergency meeting is still in progress. Through the glass walls, I can see a room full of adults arguing over charts and graphs, their faces red with frustration and fear. Maybe no one, but we have to try. Come on, Oliver says, extending his hand. Let's go crash their meeting. Mr. Kane, CEO Reeves says, his voice dangerously calm, this is a closed meeting. I'm sure you can find something productive to do elsewhere. The conference room falls silent when Oliver and I walk through the door. 20 pairs of adult eyes turn to stare at us, and I feel my courage evaporating like morning mist. Oliver squeezes my hand, reminding me that I'm not alone. A few people snicker. Dr. Chen raises an eyebrow. An 8-year-old has been analyzing our security breach. With all due respect, Oliver continues, she's been right about everything so far. The attack vector, the progression pattern, even the timing. I think we should listen to what she has to say. Actually, sir, I think you need to hear this, Oliver replies. Aria here has been analyzing the attack pattern, and she's identified something important. Mom stands up from her seat, her face flushed with embarrassment. Aria, what are you doing here? I told you to stay in the cubicle. Rebecca, it's fine, Oliver says quickly. Your daughter might have insights that could help us. This is ridiculous, Dr. Chen interjects. We're dealing with a sophisticated cyberattack, not a school science project. We don't have time for this nonsense. All eyes turn to me again, and I feel like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff. One wrong word, one moment of stumbling, and I'll lose my chance forever. But Oliver is right. We have to try. But CEO Reeves holds up a hand. Wait, let's hear what the girl has to say. At this point, we'll take help from anyone. I open my notebook and walk to the whiteboard at the front of the room. My hands are shaking, but I force myself to draw the network diagram I've been working on all morning. Learning what? Dr. Chen asks, her tone skeptical, but not dismissive. The attack started here, I say, pointing to the guest network. It used the conference room bridge to access the main systems, then spread through the accounting department, human resources, and customer service. It avoided the high security areas at first because it was learning everything: network topology, security protocols, user behavior patterns. It's like, I search for the right analogy, like a burglar who breaks into your house but spends the first hour just walking around, learning where everything is before they start stealing. I continue drawing, showing how the attack spread through the building systems. The malware isn't trying to steal data or encrypt files for ransom. It's trying to understand how everything connects so it can cause maximum damage when it activates the real attack. What real attack? Reeves asks. That's actually not a bad analogy, one of the technicians mutters. The room is completely silent now. Even Dr. Chen is leaning forward, her eyes fixed on my diagram. The malware is building a map of every connected system in the building. Computers, servers, security cameras, fire suppression, elevator controls, even the HVAC system. When it's finished mapping, it's going to activate everything at once. I turn to face the room, and for a moment I forget about my age and their skepticism. This is just a problem to be solved, like fixing a broken radio or improving a circuit design. And then, how long do we have? Reeves asks quietly. I look at my timeline notes. Based on the progression rate, maybe 2 hours, 3 at most. Mom's face has gone white. Arya, how do you know all this? Then, whoever did this will have complete control over the building. They could lock down the elevators, disable the fire exits, crash the servers, maybe even trigger the emergency systems. It won't just destroy the company's data, it could hurt people. Because I've been watching the building's systems for 3 years, Mom, I know how they work, and I know how they could be broken. We need to cut the connections between the infected systems and the building's critical infrastructure, create a firewall that isolates the malware before it can spread to the dangerous stuff. Dr. Chen stands up and walks to the whiteboard, studying my diagram. Assuming you're right, and I'm not saying you are, what do you propose we do about it? This is the question I've been dreading. It's one thing to identify a problem, but solving it is something else entirely. I take a deep breath and point to a section of my diagram, such as, because you're thinking like adults, I reply. You're trying to build walls around the important systems, but the malware is like water, it finds the cracks. Instead, we need to give it something it wants more than the building systems. We tried that, one of the technicians says. The malware just finds alternate routes. It's not that simple, Dr. Chen says. Creating a convincing honeypot would take hours of programming, and we'd need to know exactly what the malware is looking for. Oliver's eyes light up. That's brilliant. While it's distracted, we could isolate the real systems and cut it off from the building infrastructure. I flip to a clean page in my notebook and start sketching quickly. A honeypot, a fake system that looks like the most valuable target in the building. We make it so attractive that the malware abandons its current strategy and focuses all its attention on breaking into the decoy. The room falls silent again. CEO Reeves leans forward. What? I know what it's looking for, I say quietly. May. What do you mean it's looking for you? Reeves asks carefully. The confession hangs in the air like smoke. I can see the confusion on their faces, the way they're trying to process what I just said. Oliver looks concerned. Mom looks terrified. Dr. Chen looks like she's trying to solve a complex equation. I close my notebook and hug it to my chest. This is the part I didn't want to tell them, the part that makes me feel sick to my stomach. I think I know who wrote the malware. Not me now, but another version of me. Someone who started like me, but made different choices. Who? The room erupts in confused murmurs. Mom stands up, her chair scraping against the floor. Arya, what are you talking about? I walk back to the whiteboard and draw a simple flowchart. Every system has multiple pathways. You can use your knowledge to build things up or tear them down, to protect or to destroy. The person who wrote this malware understands these systems the same way I do, but they chose to use that understanding to hurt people. You think the attacker is a child? Dr. Chen asks. I think the attacker used to be a child like me, someone who was invisible, who spent years watching and learning, but who never found anyone to listen to them, so they decided to make people listen by force. It's more than that, I continue. The attack pattern isn't just technically sophisticated, it's emotionally sophisticated. It's designed to create maximum chaos and fear. The malware doesn't just want to destroy the company's data, it wants to watch people panic. It wants to prove that all the adults who ignored it were wrong. Oliver nods slowly. That would explain the sophistication. Most hackers learn by trial and error, but someone who's been observing systems from the inside would have a much deeper understanding. Mom sinks back into her chair. Arya, where did you learn to think like this? From being invisible, Mom. When no one pays attention to you, you learn to pay attention to everything else. You see patterns that other people miss. And sometimes, I pause, struggling to find the right words. Sometimes you wonder what would happen if you used those patterns to make people notice you. The room is completely silent now. I can hear the hum of the emergency lighting, the distant sound of sirens from the street. the soft whisper of the HVAC system that might soon be turned against us. The honeypot, Dr. Chen says suddenly. You said the malware is looking for you. How do we use that? I turn back to the whiteboard and start drawing again. We create a fake system that looks like it contains information about me, personal files, school records, maybe even some of my circuit diagrams. We make it look like the company has been studying me, like I'm some kind of valuable asset they want to protect. And when the malware tries to access it, we trace the connection back to its source. And while it's distracted, we cut it off from the building's critical systems. Oliver is already moving toward one of the computers. How long would it take to set up? If we work together? Maybe an hour. I nod, even though my hands are shaking. I think so, but I'll need help, and I'll need access to the main server room. Then we don't have a choice, Dr. Chen says. She looks at me with something that might be respect. Can you do it? We don't have an hour, Reeves says. You said we had 2 or 3 hours total, and we've already spent one of them in this meeting. Reeves stands up and walks to the window, looking out at the city below. What do you need? Absolutely not, Mom says. Arya, this is too dangerous. You're 8 years old. Mom, if I'm right about this, age doesn't matter. The malware is looking for someone like me. If we don't stop it, it's gonna hurt people. Dr. Chen laughs, but it's not a happy sound. You're asking us to bet the entire company on the word of an 8-year-old. A computer with full administrative access, direct connection to the main servers. And I pause, knowing this next request will be the hardest. I need everyone to trust me, even when what I'm doing doesn't make sense. I'm asking you to bet the company on someone who's been paying attention while everyone else was busy. And I'll supervise, Dr. Chen adds. If she's wrong, we'll know quickly enough to try something else. There's a long moment of silence. Then Oliver speaks up. I'll help her. I'll take full responsibility.
Reeves nods slowly. Do it, but if this goes badly, I'm holding all of you responsible.
I look into her eyes and see all the fear and love and worry that comes with being a parent. I'm sure, Mom, this is what I've been training for my whole life. I just didn't know it until now. She hugs me tightly. Be careful, sweetheart. The world needs more people like you. As the meeting breaks up, Mom grabs my arm. Arya, are you sure about this? Dr. Chen leads me to a workstation in the center of the room. This is our main administrative terminal. It has access to everything. Network infrastructure, security protocols, system monitoring. If you're going to set up your honeypot, this is where you'll do it. The main server room is a cathedral of technology. Rows of black servers stretch from floor to ceiling, their status lights blinking like electronic constellations. The air hums with the sound of cooling fans and hard drives spinning at thousands of RPMs. It's the closest thing to sacred space I've ever experienced. I sit down at the keyboard, and for a moment, I'm overwhelmed by the responsibility. One wrong command could make the situation worse. But then I remember the pattern I saw in my diagrams, the digital footprints, the malware left behind, and my confidence returns. First, I need to see the current attack progression, I say, pulling up a network monitoring display. The screen fills with a real-time map of the building's systems, with red indicators showing infected areas. It looks like a disease spreading through a body. It's moving faster than I expected, I murmur. It's already reached the building management systems. We have maybe 40 minutes before it gains access to the critical infrastructure. Oliver appears beside me with a rolling chair and a laptop.
What do you need me to do?
Why would the company be monitoring an 8-year-old? I pause, considering the question. Because I'm not normal. Think about it. What 8-year-old can diagnose network attacks and design countermeasures? If I existed in this world, I'd be exactly the kind of person a tech company would want to study. Help me create the bait. I open a text editor and start typing. We need to build a fake database that looks like it contains information about me. Make it look official, like the company has been secretly monitoring me for years. While Oliver works on the fake database, I turn my attention to the honeypot itself. It needs to be sophisticated enough to fool an intelligent adversary, but simple enough to set up quickly. I decide to create a virtual server that appears to contain sensitive research data about gifted children and their potential technological applications.
Oliver nods and starts typing. Okay, fake personnel file for... What should we call you?
Use my real name. If the attacker is someone like me, they'll recognize authenticity, but make it look like the company discovered me through some kind of talent search program. This is insane, Dr. Chen mutters, watching over my shoulder. We're essentially creating a fake conspiracy theory and hoping the malware believes it. The best lies contain elements of truth, I reply, configuring the server's security settings. The attacker already suspects that someone like me exists. Otherwise, why would they be looking? We're just confirming their suspicions. My fingers fly across the keyboard as I build the trap. Fake research papers about child prodigies, fabricated correspondence between company executives about recruiting young talent. Even some of my actual circuit diagrams, presented as evidence of exceptional ability. The honeypot server comes online with a soft chime. On the network monitor, it appears as a high-security database connected to the main system, but protected by multiple layers of authentication. To the malware, it should look like the most valuable target in the building. I've been practicing, I say without looking up. When you're invisible, you spend a lot of time alone with computers. How are you typing so fast? Oliver asks, staring at my hands.
Now we wait, I say, leaning back in my chair.
How long? Dr. Chen asks. Not long. The malware has been searching for something specific this whole time. When it sees the honeypot, it won't be able to resist. There, I whisper, pointing to the screen. It's found the honeypot. We watch the network monitor in silence. The red indicators continue to spread through the building's systems, but I notice a subtle change in the pattern. The malware's probing attacks are becoming more focused, more directed. It's homing in on our bait like a shark following a blood trail. A new cluster of activity appears on the monitor, centered on our fake server. The malware is throwing everything it has at the honeypot's defenses, trying to crack through the security layers I've built around it. What are you going to do? It's taking the bait, Oliver says excitedly. Now comes the hard part, I reply, opening a new command window. We need to trace the attack back to its source, while it's distracted. Oliver, I need you to monitor the honeypot's logs. Tell me if it starts to break through the security layers. Something that would probably get me expelled from school if I still went to school. Arya, Dr. Chen says quietly, what you're doing, it's not exactly legal. I begin typing commands that would make a security professional's hair stand on end. Probing tools, network scanners, reverse traceroute utilities. I'm essentially launching a counterattack against the malware, following its data streams back through the network to find its command and control center. The trace commands start returning results. The malware's control signals are coming from multiple sources, a sophisticated botnet spread across dozens of compromised systems around the world. But buried in the data stream, I can see a pattern that suggests a single point of origin. Got it, I breathe, staring at the IP address that appears on my screen. The primary command server is... Wait, that can't be right. Neither is what the malware is doing, I reply. Sometimes you have to break the rules to protect what matters. What is it? Oliver asks. I run the trace again, double-checking my results. The answer is the same. I turn to face Dr. Chen and Oliver, my heart pounding. The attack is coming from inside the building. The revelation hits the room like a physical blow. Dr. Chen stumbles backward, her face pale. Oliver's laptop slips from his hands and clatters to the floor. That's impossible, Dr. Chen whispers. All our internal systems are monitored. If someone was launching an attack from inside the building, we would have detected it. Not if they knew how to hide it, I reply, running more diagnostic commands. Look at this traffic pattern. The malware isn't just attacking from inside the building. It's been living here for weeks, maybe months. It's been studying the network, learning the security protocols, waiting for the right moment to strike. I pull up a detailed network map showing the attack's origin point. Floor 12, workstation 47B. The attack is coming from the accounting department. That's impossible, Dr. Chen repeats. Everyone in accounting is at the emergency meeting. The floor is empty. But even as she says it, I can see doubt creeping into her eyes. She pulls out her phone and starts dialing. Security, I need you to check floor 12, workstation 47B. Yes, right now. I glance at the honeypot status display. Oliver is right. The fake defenses I built are crumbling under the malware's assault. Soon it will realize that the database is empty, and when that happens, it will return to its original mission with renewed fury. While we wait for the security team to respond, I continue analyzing the data streams. The picture that emerges is both brilliant and terrifying. The attacker hasn't just been hiding in the building's network. They've been living in it, using the company's own systems to slowly build their weapon. Arya, Oliver says quietly, the honeypot is starting to crack. The malware is breaking through the security layers. Maybe 10 minutes before it breaks through completely. After that, it goes back to attacking the building systems, but now it'll be angry. Dr. Chen's phone buzzes. She answers it with shaking hands. What did you find? Are you sure? Okay, we're coming up. How much time do we have? Dr. Chen asks. Living here? Oliver asks. She hangs up and looks at us with an expression I can't read. There's someone at workstation 47B, a young woman, maybe 16 or 17. She's been living in the building. Security found evidence of a makeshift shelter in one of the storage rooms. Food, blankets, a change of clothes. She's been here for at least a week, maybe longer. We need to get up there, Dr. Chen says. If you're right about the malware becoming more aggressive, we need to stop this at the source. I feel a chill run down my spine. She's like me, isn't she? Someone who understands systems but never found anyone to listen to her. Wait, I say, grabbing her arm. If we just burst in there, she might panic and trigger the attack early. We need to approach this carefully. What do you suggest? Dr. Chen shakes her head. Absolutely not. You're not going anywhere near someone who's been planning to destroy the building. I look at the honeypot status again. 7 minutes, maybe 8 before it falls completely. Let me talk to her. If she's like me, she's been invisible for a long time. Maybe she just needs someone to see her.
Oliver suddenly straightens up. Ari is right.
The malware isn't just designed to cause damage. It's designed to identify and communicate with someone who has similar abilities. It's like a test. A test for what? That I'm the only one who can understand her. I insist. She's been looking for someone like me this whole time. That's why she built the honeypot trap into her malware. She wanted to see if anyone else could think the way she does. To see if she's alone in the world, I whisper. To see if there's anyone else like her. What are you going to say? I walk back to the workstation and open a new communication window. I'm going to send her a message through the network. If she's monitoring the honeypot, she'll see it. I pause, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. What do you say to someone who's spent years feeling invisible and has finally decided to make the world notice them through destruction? I send the message and wait. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, slowly, a response appears on the screen. Who are you?
I start typing. I see you. I understand what you're trying to do. You're not alone anymore. Please let me help.
My name is Arya. I'm 8 years old, and I've been invisible too. A longer pause this time. Then, prove it. I think for a moment, then type. You've been living in the building for 8 days. You sleep in storage room, C7 on the 3rd floor. You've been eating from the vending machines on floor 15, and you've been using the executive bathroom on floor 20 because it has better water pressure. You chose workstation 47B because it has a clear view of the elevator and the stairwell. You can see anyone coming before they see you. Because I've been watching the building systems for 3 years, I know every camera blind spot, every security gap, every place someone could hide if they needed to. I know because I've thought about it myself. The response comes quickly now. How do you know all that? Another pause. Then, what do you want? The screen remains blank for what feels like an eternity. I can hear Dr. Chen pacing behind me, her heels clicking against the server room floor. Oliver is monitoring the honeypot's declining defenses. We have maybe 5 minutes left. Finally, a new message appears. Floor 12, come alone.
I want to meet you. I want to understand why you're doing this. And I want to show you that there's another way.
Absolutely not, Dr. Chen says before I can respond. You're not going up there by yourself. She won't talk if there are adults around. I argue, she spent years being ignored by grown-ups. If you want to stop this, you have to let me try. It's too dangerous. Just a teenager who's about to crash every system in this building, Dr. Chen replies. Oliver looks up from his laptop. The building security cameras show she's not armed. She's just a teenager with a computer. Dr. Chen, I say, turning to face her, in 4 minutes, that honeypot is going to fall, and when it does, she's going to realize I was trying to trick her. If that happens, she'll activate the full attack out of anger. This is our only chance. I stand up and walk toward the door. I'm going up there with or without your permission. The only question is whether you're going to help me or try to stop me. Fair enough? Dr. Chen stares at me for a long moment, then sighs. Fine, but I'm watching through the security cameras, and if anything goes wrong, I'm sending the entire security team up there. I take the elevator to the 12th floor, my heart pounding with each passing second. The floor is eerily quiet. All the employees are still in the emergency meeting downstairs. The only sound is the hum of computers and the distant rumble of the building's ventilation system. Workstation 47B is in the far corner of the accounting department, partially hidden behind a row of filing cabinets. As I approach, I can see a figure hunched over the computer, a young woman with long, unkempt hair and clothes that look like they've been slept in. She doesn't look up when I approach, but I know she's aware of me. Her fingers continue to dance across the keyboard, lines of code flowing across the screen like digital poetry. "Hello," I say quietly. "You're older than I expected." She stops typing but doesn't turn around. "You're smaller than I expected." Now she does turn, and I see a face that might have been pretty under different circumstances. But her eyes are hollow with exhaustion and something deeper, a kind of spiritual fatigue that comes from carrying too much weight for too long. "What happened 9 years ago?" "My name is Zara," she says. "I'm 17. I've been invisible for 9 years. My parents died in a car accident. I went into foster care, but the families couldn't handle me. Too smart, too quiet, too strange. I aged out of the system when I turned 18 last month." "Is that when you came here?" She nods. "I'd been watching this company for years, reading their security reports, studying their network architecture. I figured if I was going to be invisible anyway, I might as well put it to use." I move closer, careful not to make any sudden movements. "Why did you want to hurt them?" "Because they're just like everyone else," Zara says, her voice bitter. "They hire people to build systems they don't understand, then act surprised when those systems can be turned against them. They deserve to see what real power looks like." "But destroying the building won't make you less invisible," I point out. "It'll just make you infamous." I think about this for a moment. There's a logic to her reasoning that I can understand, even if I don't agree with it. What if there was another way to be seen? Like what? "Sometimes infamous is better than invisible." Zara laughs, but there's no humor in it. "You think they'd listen to someone like me, a homeless teenager with no credentials, no college degree, no references? Like helping instead of hurting, like showing them what you can do when you're working with them instead of against them. They're listening to me, and I'm 8. Your honeypot was clever," she says. I almost believed it was real. It was real. In a way. The files about me, they're all true. The circuit diagrams, the observations about the building systems, even the speculation about my abilities. The only fake part was that the company was studying me. She turns back to her computer screen, where I can see the malware's control interface. It's even more sophisticated than I imagined. A real-time dashboard showing the status of every infected system in the building. With a few keystrokes, she could crash the elevators, disable the fire exits, or trigger the sprinkler systems. But they are now, aren't they?
A nod. Yes, they are.
Zara's fingers hover over the keyboard. "Do you know what it's like to be capable of incredible things, but have no one care? To see problems everywhere, and know you could fix them, but have everyone treat you like you're just a kid who doesn't understand the world?" "Yes," I whisper. "I do know." "Then you understand why I have to do this. Someone needs to pay attention." They are paying attention, Zara. Right now, downstairs, there are 20 adults listening to every word an 8-year-old says, because I proved I could help them. You could have that too. It's too late for that. She stares at the screen for a long moment, her finger poised over the enter key, one keystroke, and chaos begins. Another keystroke, and everything stops. "It's not too late. Look at your screen. The honeypot is still running. You haven't activated the full attack yet. You can still choose a different path." I move to stand beside her chair, looking at the same screen she's been staring at for hours. I'd ask for help. I'd tell them what I need, what I want, what I'm capable of. And if they say no, then I'd find somewhere else to go, somewhere that would appreciate what I have to offer. "What would you do?" she asks quietly. "If you were me, and if nowhere else will take me. I think there are more people like us than we realize. Maybe it's time we found each other. Then we'll build something new, together." Zara looks at me for the first time with something that might be hope. "You'd do that?" She takes a deep breath and moves her hand away from the keyboard. "What do I do now?" "Now you shut down the malware and we go downstairs together. You tell them what you need, and I help them understand why they should give it to you."
What if they call the police?
"What if they don't?" "There," she says finally. "It's done." Isira stares at the screen for another long moment, then begins typing. I watch as she enters shutdown commands, gracefully dismantling the digital weapon she's spent weeks constructing. One by one, the infected systems come back online, their status indicators changing from red to green. Now we go face the adults together, and this time they're going to listen. She stands up slowly, as if the weight of the last few hours is finally catching up with her.
What happens now?
Thank you. The elevator ride down feels longer than the ride up, even though I know it's the same distance. Zara stands beside me, nervously fidgeting with the sleeve of her worn sweater. I can tell she's having second thoughts about trusting me, about walking into a room full of adults who have every reason to be angry with her. Then we make them understand, I reply. Together. What if they don't understand? She asks as we pass the 10th floor. The conference room is still full when we arrive, but the atmosphere has changed completely. Instead of panic and confusion, there's a kind of electric tension in the air. Dr. Chen is standing at the front of the room, pointing at a large monitor that shows the building's network status. Every indicator is green. CEO Reeves notices us first. Arya, who's your friend? Systems are coming back online across all departments, she's saying. Whatever happened, it stopped. This is Zara, I announce. She's the one who stopped the attack. Stopped it? Dr. Chen asks. I thought she was the one who launched it. The room falls silent as 20 pairs of eyes turn toward us. I can feel Zara tense beside me, her instinct to run warring with her desire to finally be seen. I reach out and take her hand. Zara squeezes my hand tightly, then steps forward. My name is Zara Martinez. I'm 17 years old, and I've been living in your building for the past week. The murmurs start immediately, but CEO Reeves holds up a hand for silence. She was, but she also stopped it, and I think you should hear what she has to say. I designed and deployed the malware that attacked your systems, Zara continues, her voice growing stronger. I did it because I wanted you to notice me, to see what I was capable of. I've been trying to get noticed by tech companies for 2 years, but no one would give me a chance because I don't have a degree or formal credentials. So you decided to hold our entire company hostage? Dr. Chen asks, her voice dangerously calm. I decided to show you what happens when you ignore people like me, Zara replies. I could have destroyed everything. I could have stolen your data, crashed your servers, even put people in physical danger. But I didn't. I created a controlled demonstration of what's possible when someone with my skills decides to work against you instead of with you. Mom stands up from her seat. Zara, what you did was illegal. You can't just break into a company and launch cyberattacks because you want a job. You're right, Zara admits. What I did was wrong. But tell me, if I had walked in here last week with a resume and asked for an interview, would anyone have taken me seriously? A homeless teenager with no formal education? The room is quiet. I can see people exchanging glances, and I know they're all thinking the same thing. Probably not. I wanted to prove that the biggest threat to your security isn't some foreign government or organized crime syndicate, Zara says. It's the talented people you're ignoring. People like me. People like Arya. We exist. We're capable of incredible things. And when you refuse to see us, some of us might decide to make you see us by force. She walks to the whiteboard and picks up a marker. Your security system has 17 critical vulnerabilities that I identified in the first 3 days I was here. Your network architecture is 10 years out of date. Your employee training protocols are inadequate, and your incident response plan is a joke. Oliver speaks up from the back of the room. What did you hope to accomplish? But instead of asking me to help you, Zara continues. You were going to let me age out of foster care and disappear into homelessness, taking all that knowledge with me. How many other people like me are out there? How many brilliant minds are you losing because they don't fit your hiring criteria? The room is completely silent now. Even Dr. Chen is staring at the diagram with something that looks like awe. She starts drawing a network diagram that makes my sketches look like children's doodles. With about 6 hours of work, I could redesign your entire security infrastructure to be nearly impregnable. I could implement adaptive defenses that learn from attack patterns, create monitoring systems that detect threats weeks before they become dangerous, and build recovery protocols that could restore full functionality within minutes of any breach. So, what happens now? Zara asks. Reeves looks around the room, meeting the eyes of his department heads and senior staff. Now we make you an offer, a real one. CEO Reeves stands up and walks to the front of the room. Zara, what you've done today, both the attack and stopping it, demonstrates capabilities that most of our senior engineers don't possess. You're absolutely right that we would have overlooked you under normal circumstances. Zara's eyes widen. You're offering me a job? He turns back to Zara. Nexus Dynamics will sponsor your GED completion and provide funding for any technical certifications you want to pursue. In the meantime, you'll work as a security consultant under Dr. Chen's supervision. You'll help us implement the improvements you've identified, and you'll help us develop new protocols for identifying and recruiting unconventional talent. I'm offering you a career, Reeves corrects. With housing assistance, health benefits, and a salary that reflects the value of your contributions. What about the legal issues? Dr. Chen asks. She did launch an unauthorized attack on our systems. As far as I'm concerned, Reeves says, Ms. Martinez conducted an unsolicited security audit that identified critical vulnerabilities in our infrastructure. The temporary disruption of services was an unfortunate side effect of her testing methodology, but no permanent damage was done, and her findings will help us prevent future attacks. Zara stares at him in disbelief. You're not going to press charges? Tears are streaming down Zara's face now. Yes, absolutely. We're going to give you the chance you should have had from the beginning, Reeves replies. The question is, are you willing to use your abilities to build instead of destroy? Good, Dr. Chen will work out the details with you. He turns to address the room. I want this to be a learning experience for all of us. Today we nearly lost everything because we weren't paying attention to the talent that was right under our noses. I don't want that to happen again. He looks at me. Arya, you prevented a disaster today. More than that, you showed us a different way of thinking about problems and solutions. How would you like to continue being part of our team? I glance at Mom, who nods encouragingly. I'd like that, but I have some conditions, such as, I want to help you find other kids like me and Zara. I want to create a program that identifies young people with unusual abilities and gives them opportunities to develop those abilities in positive ways. A program that makes sure no one else has to feel invisible just because they think differently. A talent scouting program for child prodigies. Reeves extends his hand to me. Deal. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my own office on the 18th floor of Nexus Dynamics. It's small, just a desk, 2 chairs and a whiteboard covered with circuit diagrams. But it's mine. The nameplate on the door reads, Arya Chen Okafor, Director of Emerging Talent Identification. As I shake his hand, I realize that this is the moment my life truly begins, not the moment I was born, or started school, or learned to fix radios. This is the moment I stopped being invisible and started being seen. Zara has become something of a legend in the cybersecurity world. Her redesign of Nexus Dynamics security infrastructure hasn't been breached once in 6 months, despite numerous attempts by both legitimate security testers and actual hackers. She's been invited to speak at conferences, and 3 other companies have tried to poach her. But she stays here, partly because of loyalty, and partly because this is where she can work on the projects that matter to her. Yes, I kept my mother's surname but added my father's. It felt important to acknowledge both parts of my heritage, especially now that I'm building something meant to last. The Emerging Talent Program has already identified 12 young people across the country with exceptional abilities in technology, mathematics, and systems thinking. 3 of them are working here as junior consultants, including Marcus, a 15-year-old from Detroit, who can visualize network traffic patterns in 3 dimensions, and Luna, a 12-year-old from Seattle who writes code that seems to anticipate user needs before the users themselves know what they want. Like the one we're working on together today. The facial recognition submarine is running at 94% accuracy, Zara reports from her workstation across the room. But I think we can push it higher by incorporating gait analysis and behavioral pattern recognition.
What about privacy concerns? I ask, not looking up from my own screen where I'm debugging the alert system code.
We're building something we call the Guardian Angel system, a network of sensors and software designed to identify children who might be struggling with isolation, depression, or thoughts of violence before they reach a crisis point. It's inspired by both our experiences and by the growing recognition that many troubled young people show warning signs that are visible to the right kind of observer. The system monitors public spaces, schools, libraries, community centers, looking for patterns of behavior that might indicate a child is withdrawing from social interaction or showing signs of distress. When it identifies someone who might need help, it alerts trained counselors and social workers who can intervene with support and resources. All data is anonymized and automatically deleted after 72 hours unless flagged for review by a human operator. And the flagging criteria are transparent. No black box algorithms. I look up to see a woman in her 30s, professionally dressed but with tired eyes that remind me of Zara's when we first met. Behind her is a boy who looks about 10, clutching a tablet and avoiding eye contact with everyone. It's controversial, of course. Privacy advocates worry about surveillance overreach. Some parents think it's an invasion of their family's autonomy. But the early trials have been promising in 3 pilot schools. The system has helped identify and assist 17 children who were showing early warning signs of serious problems. Arya, Oliver's voice comes from the doorway. He's been promoted to senior developer and serves as our liaison with the main engineering team. There's someone here to see you. The boy glances at me briefly, then back at his tablet. On the screen, I can see what looks like a programming interface, but the code is more complex than anything most adults could write, let alone a 10-year-old. I stand up and walk over to them. Hi David, I'm Arya. Miss Chernow-Kufor, I'm Dr. Sarah Walsh from the Children's Hospital downtown. This is David. His mother asked me to bring him here. I crouch down to David's level. What are you working on? It's stupid, he mutters. David has been having some difficulties at school, Dr. Walsh explains. He's extremely gifted in mathematics and computer science, but he's been acting out lately. His teachers don't know how to handle him, and his mother is worried he might hurt himself or others. Reluctantly, he turns the tablet toward me. The screen shows a sophisticated simulation of crowd dynamics, people moving through a space, their paths influenced by obstacles, social groupings, and individual goals. It's the kind of work I'd expect from a graduate student, not a 5th grader. This is incredible, I say, and I mean it. Are you modeling evacuation scenarios? I doubt that. Can I see? I look up at Dr. Walsh. How long has David been working on this? It's not stupid at all. That's brilliant. David's eyes light up slightly. I was trying to figure out why people get trampled during emergencies. I thought if I could understand the patterns, maybe I could design better ways to keep people safe. About 3 months. His mother says he stays up all night coding and barely speaks to anyone during the day. I turn back to David. Have you shown this to anyone at school? He shakes his head. They wouldn't understand. They think I'm weird enough already. Oh yes, there are definitely others like you. For the first time, he looks directly at me. There are others like me. David, would you like to meet some other kids who understand what it's like to see patterns that other people miss? I lead them into the main workspace, where Marcus is debugging a network analysis algorithm, and Luna is writing code that interfaces with the building's environmental systems. Both of them look up when we enter. How old are you, David asks Marcus.
Everybody, I'd like you to meet David. David, this is Marcus and Luna. They're both part of our team here.
10. What are you working on?
15.
You? And just like that, David is no longer alone. Within minutes, the 3 of them are clustered around Marcus's workstation, discussing algorithms and data structures with the kind of passion most kids reserve for video games or sports. They're not really strangers, I explain. They speak the same language. Dr. Walsh watches in amazement. I've never seen him open up to strangers like that. We talk for another hour about David's situation and what we might be able to do to help. The Emerging Talent Program has expanded beyond just recruiting for Nexus Dynamics. We also work with schools and families to provide support and resources for gifted children who are struggling to fit into traditional educational environments. After Dr. Walsh and David leave, with David clutching a business card and a promise that he can visit again next week, I return to my office to find Zara putting the finishing touches on the Guardian Angel code. Possibly. He's definitely talented enough, but more importantly, he needs to know he's not alone. New recruit? She asks without looking up. I sit back down at my desk and look around the office at the whiteboards covered with diagrams, the computers humming with complex calculations, the photographs of young people who have found their place in a world that once overlooked them. Zara, I say, do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't found each other that day? That seems to be our specialty these days. She stops typing and considers the question. I probably would have triggered the full attack. Spent the rest of my life running from the FBI, assuming I didn't end up in prison or worse. And I probably would have stayed invisible. Spent my whole childhood watching systems and fixing radios, never realizing I could do something bigger. But we did find each other, Zara points out. And now we're building something that makes sure other kids like us don't have to go through what we went through. Do you think it's enough? She's right, of course. 6 months ago, I was a ghost in the machine, invisible to everyone, except my mother and a security guard who appreciated good radio repair work. Now I'm running a program that's changing how companies and schools think about identifying and nurturing exceptional talent. I think it's a start, and sometimes a start is all you need to change everything. 6 months ago, Zara was a homeless teenager planning to bring down a building full of people out of desperation and rage. Now she's one of the most respected cybersecurity experts in the city, and more importantly, she's using her abilities to protect instead of destroy. The change didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't easy. There were setbacks, arguments, moments when I wondered if we were making the right choices. But every time I see a kid like David discover that he's not alone, every time one of our program participants finds their place in the world, I know we're on the right path. My computer chimes with a new message. It's from Mom, who's been promoted to Senior Project Manager, partly because of the attention our program has brought to the company. I smile and type back, "Wouldn't miss it. Love you, Mom." "Dinner at 7, the message reads. "I'm making your favorite." As I pack up my things for the day, I catch my reflection in the window. For so long, I thought being invisible was my defining characteristic. But I've learned that true invisibility isn't about being unseen. It's about being misunderstood. And the cure for invisibility isn't demanding attention through destruction. It's finding your tribe, the people who see you for who you really are and value what you have to offer.
I'm not invisible anymore. None of us are. And that, I think, makes all the difference.
2 years later, I'm 16 now, which feels both impossibly old and impossibly young. Old enough to have real responsibilities and make decisions that affect other people's lives. Young enough that most adults still do double takes when they realize I'm running a department in a Fortune 500 company. Today is special, though. Today, Zara is defending her PhD dissertation. She decided to go back to school 2 years ago, not because she needed the credentials, but because she wanted to prove something to herself. I want to show every kid who thinks they're too broken or too different that there's always another path, she told me when she announced her decision. The Emerging Talent Program has grown beyond what any of us imagined. We now work with 43 companies across 12 states, and our identification protocols have been adopted by hundreds of schools. More importantly, we've created a network, a community of young people who might have spent their childhoods feeling like aliens on their own planet, but now know they belong somewhere. The auditorium at MIT is packed. Zara's dissertation committee sits at a curved table facing the podium, looking appropriately serious and intimidating. But scattered throughout the audience are faces I recognize: Marcus, Luna, David, now 12 and working on his third published research paper, and dozens of other young people whose lives have been touched by our program. Mom sits in the front row, beaming with pride like Zara is her own daughter. In many ways, she has become that for all of us, the adult who believed in us when no one else would. CEO Reeves is here too, along with Dr. Chen and Oliver. The entire senior staff of Nexus Dynamics has flown out to Boston for this moment. It says something about how much things have changed that a company's leadership team would rearrange their schedules to support a former homeless teenager who once tried to destroy their building. Zara takes the podium, and the room falls silent. She's 20 now, confident and poised in a way that would have been impossible when we first met. Her hair is clean, her clothes are professional, and her eyes are bright with purpose instead of desperation. She clicks to her first slide, which shows a network diagram that I recognize from our early work together. 2 years ago, I launched a cyber attack against a major technology company. I did it because I was desperate, angry, and convinced that the only way to make people notice me was to hurt them. My dissertation is titled "Adaptive Security Architectures for Protecting Vulnerable Populations," she begins. But it's really about something much simpler. The idea that the best way to prevent someone from using their abilities destructively is to give them constructive ways to use those abilities instead. Today, that same company employs me as their chief security officer. They didn't hire me despite my attack on their systems. They hired me because of what that attack revealed about both my capabilities and the gaps in their security model. A murmur runs through the audience. Most academic dissertations don't begin with confessions of felonious behavior. She clicks to the next slide, showing statistics from our program outcomes. This represents a fundamental shift in how we think about threat assessment and prevention. Instead of waiting for problems to manifest and then responding punitively, we can identify potential issues early and respond with opportunity and support. The presentation continues for another 40 minutes, covering technical details about network security, behavioral analysis algorithms, and intervention protocols. But the heart of her argument is simple. Most destructive behavior comes from feelings of powerlessness and invisibility, and the best way to prevent such behavior is to give people constructive ways to feel powerful and seen. Finally, the committee dismisses her and the audience while they deliberate. We wait in the hallway, a strange collection of tech executives, academic researchers, and brilliant teenagers who don't quite fit into normal categories. When she finishes, the dissertation committee peppers her with questions for another hour. Technical questions about her methodology, ethical questions about surveillance and privacy, practical questions about implementation and scalability. Zara handles them all with the same calm confidence she once brought to dismantling corporate security systems. How do you think it went? Marcus asks. She was brilliant, Luna replies. If they don't pass her, it's because they're jealous. David, now almost as tall as I am, and working on machine learning algorithms that make graduate students weep with envy, nods sagely. I've read her research. It's going to change how everyone thinks about cybersecurity. 30 minutes later, the committee emerges. The lead professor, a stern-looking woman, who spent the first hour of questioning trying to poke holes in Zara's methodology, is actually smiling. Congratulations, Dr. Martinez, she says. Your dissertation has been accepted with distinction. The hallway erupts in cheers. Zara is surrounded by hugs and congratulations, tears streaming down her face. But through the crowd, her eyes find mine. A nod, feeling my own eyes welling up. We did it. We did it, she mouths. Later, at the celebration dinner, CEO Reeves stands up to give a toast. 2 years ago, Dr. Martinez taught us that the greatest threats often come from the people we're not paying attention to. Today, she's shown us that those same people can become our greatest assets if we're willing to see them, support them, and give them the chance to contribute.